Now let's go over question number 246, Strobogrammatic numbers. Given a string num which represents an integer, so we're going to be given a string number which is going to be representing an integer. Return true if it is a strobogrammatic number. So what is a strobogrammatic number? It's a number that looks the same when rotated 180 degrees, looked at upside down. We are given an example 1, 69, and 69 backwards, if you look at backwards, it looks exactly the same. And 88, if you flip it, it looks the same. And 962, well, we know that 2 is not going to be a strobogrammatic number, so that obviously fails the condition and it's going to return false. And 1 is going to look the same regardless whether you look it from the top or the bottom. So we know that there are few numbers that satisfy this condition. Well, first one is the single numbers, and those are 1, 8, and 0. So whether you look at it from the bottom or from the top, they look exactly the same. And another one is a pair of number, and that's 69. So 69 looks the same as 96. So if you were to flip it, it would look the same. So given these two sets of numbers, try to implement it in your solution. So remember that single numbers that satisfy the condition are 1, 8, 0. And for pairs of numbers, it's going to be 6 and 9 or 9 and 6. If you guys find this helpful, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thanks. Now let's code our first solution, and our first solution is going to have a time complexity of O of n and space of O1. And that's going to be just a space for dictionary of strobogrammatic numbers. Now for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to create a dictionary of our strobogrammatic numbers. And we're going to have two pointers, one that starts from the left side of our string and one that starts from the right side of our string. And we're going to check our left side number against our dictionary of strobogrammatic numbers. So as we talked about before, our dictionary is going to have numbers like 0, 1, 6, 9, and 8. And remember that there is a special case for 6, 9, and 9 and 6. And they're strobogrammatic if they're only together. So this number 6 won't be strobogrammatic, and so is 9. They're only strobogrammatic if they're together. So now let's first create our dictionary. Let's call it a list, and that's going to be an object. So here now you can see our list of numbers that pass the test. So 0, 1, 8. Two special things that you have to keep in mind is 6 and 9 and 9 and 6. So there's strobogrammatic if 6 and 9 is together and 9 and 6 is together. Now let's create our for loop to iterate through our string, and remember that we want two pointers. So let's create let I is equal to 0 and I is going to be less than num.length, and we divide it by 2 and we increment by 1 each time. Well, why do we do until num.length divided by 2? Well, because we're coming from two sides of our string, so left and right. So we don't need to loop through the whole thing. We want to stop when the two pointers meet at halfway. Next, I want to create two variables. First one is going to be left, and this is going to represent the number at the left side. So that's going to be num at index I. And next one is obviously going to be right, and that's going to be num at num.length. We get the last index, and we want to subtract by 1 each time. All right, that looks good. And now we have to do our checks. And what we're going to do is, well, first we're going to keep our left side of the number, and we're going to get our right side and match it against our list. So our number on the right side currently is 9. So we're going to look up the number 9 in our list, and that's going to return a value of 6, right? So if left and the value of whatever we get is equal to each other, that means they're strobogrammatic. So that means it's true. And we're going to do that for all the digits. But here what we're going to do is we're going to check if it's not true. So if any of them is not true, we're going to instantly return false. And when we're done with our loop, we're just going to return true because it passed all the tests that we had. So let's create our for loop to check if it fails or not. And that's going to be if L does not equal to, we get our list, and we look up our right value. And if they're not equal to each other, that means that they're not strobogrammatic. So we return false. And as you can see here, we have 962 returning false because we have a 2 here, and 6 is false because 6 itself is not strobogrammatic. You have to have a 9 next to it. And finally, after we're done with our loop, we are going to return true. As you can see here now, we have all answers that are correct. If you guys find this helpful, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thanks.